And I know ordinarily somebody should ask, where do we get money to fund the issue of 1 million military, 1 million police, free education, and so on and so forth, that we are going to do when we have the opportunity.
I'm not against borrowing. I've always advocated it.
We should also avoid a bottleneck in getting these funds to the right places. Some of this funding will be achieved through the privatization of the refineries, to removal of subsidy. Is going to be a whole lot of money which will take care of these, particularly two issues that we have pledged, in our policy document. But you must also understand that we will, of course, require the National Assembly, by way of legislation in some of these items to pass them through. So it is not just going to be by fiat or by an executive order. The only thing that may not require the National Assembly's approval is the privatization of the refineries. That immediately will fetch you more than 10 billion. So, and then of course, the fuel subsidy. Of course, it has already been legislated. All what you need to do is to announce, and engage all stakeholders as far as the removal of subsidy is concerned. And that again, that will fetch you another billions, which you can invest in other sectors of the economy. So I don't think we are going to go into debt again to be able to do that. Unless you abolish, the multiple exchange rate regime, you cannot get, a realistic exchange rate. And also impose education tax on some segment of Nigerian, population or economy. We pass the entire proceeds of that taxation to the states and local governments. I think we should begin to see, or we should begin to find out, why is it not we have not got the impact that legislation was meant to achieve?
I invested in critical development areas like supporting MSMEs, education, health, and pulling people out of poverty. That's what I'm going to do in subsidy. On issue, and I assure you that if you aggressively, as I intend to do, cost waste and cost of governance, because there's a lot of waste in governance that you can cut. By the time you deal with it, which will now bring that to about 14 trillion, then you do the right things. By the time you're able to tackle all loopholes of revenue leakages, including the oil theft, you're back to where you have a balanced budget. However, if there's need to borrow, I'm not against borrowing, I've always advocated it. You borrow for production. It's a lie. Every country of the world is owing, but you borrow for, even those who are using, for example, like Singapore, everybody comes, is 120% of their GDP is in debt. So you borrow for production. If we borrow for production, then we would have been better off today, even servicing our debts. So I will do whatever it takes to ensure that we bring a balanced budget and strictly borrow for production, which will grow the economy and be able to pull people out of poverty. Something that you can do as quickly as possible and be able to still have the same product competitively priced that we accepted, and then use the resources, because I can't always say what we have today as subsidy, for me, is organized crime. And you can't continue that.
Yes, I think many Nigerians would agree with that.
You can't continue with that. So you can deal with it. Labour is not against subsidy removal. They are against, if you're going to remove it, there must be something you're putting in place in order to be able to manage what is to follow. And that we're going to do aggressively. We will install a new budgeting system founded on the cardinal principle of public accountability, objective setting, and program implementation. This is against the extant budgetary principles of revenue mobilization, expenditure allocation, borrowing without emphasis on monitoring, evaluation, and feedback. We will enforce principles of performance, auditing, institutionalized monitoring, and evaluation process of the entire public service delivery as the primary means of actualizing our vision of the new Nigeria. This reform will institutionalize our personal involvement of both the president and the vice president in setting budgetary objectives of MDAs and monitoring, evaluating the implementation process through Office of Regulatory Review in the Office of the President. Budget monitoring and evaluation capacity will be strengthened within the presidency. We will embark on effective micro and physical restructuring to quickly restore physical viability by discontinuing unaffordable subsidies which have left a black hole in government finances. Fiscal and monetary policy will be properly coordinated with each conventional tool transparently instead of distorting markets in favor of privileged few. For instance, an avoidance of doubt. We will collaborate with Central Bank of Nigeria for a transparent liberalization of our foreign exchange market and dismantling of OPEC multiple exchange rates.
One, restoring fiscal discipline. Two, improving non-oil revenue through reforms in company income tax, value-added tax, as well as reforms in key revenue-generating agencies. 3, improving crude oil and gas production to OPEC target. 4, ensuring disciplined management flood foreign exchange policy. 5, targeting inflation. 6, improving the climate for trade, investment, and business. 7, preventing corruption, wastages, and theft and other of oil and other mineral resources. Daily basis. So it is very critical that we work on how to stop stealing of oil and other assets owned by the nation. Now, the issue of subsidy, yes, we are all aware that there is a lot of corruption in that field. And our first area of attack in that area on the issue of the subsidy is the issue of corruption. Of course, subsidy overall doesn't do any good to anybody. But we are at the same time concerned with the welfare of Nigerians. We are going to create necessary palliatives to ensure that even if we take it away, and it is very necessary in the long term that it has to be removed, so palliatives that our administration is putting on the ground is there. Now, the issue of exchange rate. You see, in economy, there are so many things that are intertwined. It's not one thing, it's not two things. The issue of exchange has to do with so many things. Has to do with the corruption that is going on in the nation. Has to do with even the oil theft. As we have heard, we have 2.2 million that we are supposed to give out or send out going by the OPEC arrangement. Now we are the record we have is much less than that. So we have to do whatever it takes to stop stealing.
The matter is that Rabi'u Kwankwaso never borrowed 1 naira from any bank, from any individual, from anybody, either in this country or abroad. So I am one governor who has never borrowed. And in fact, I hate anything borrowed.